Dave Roberts gives an interesting statement in the latest with Teoscar Hernandez. Everybody's wondering, when will Teoscar re-sign with the Dodgers? Is it going to happen or is it not? I get into all that in this edition of Dodgers Digest. Hey, it's Mike Nelson. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I want to thank the 21% of the ones who are watching these videos who have already hit the sub button, but 78% of you have not subscribed yet. Myself and Brad J are bringing you everyday Dodger content. You're not going to find content like this anywhere else. We're the best Dodger channel out there. Make sure to hit the sub button. Let's get right into it. Of course, Dave Roberts recently gave an interview to Bleed Los podcast. Dave Roberts thinks the Dodgers are close to bringing back Teoscar Hernandez. This is, of course, what he said a couple days ago. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts is prepared to run it back next year and expects Teoscar Hernandez to be part of the journey. This is, of course, from Sports Illustrated today. Article was written about this interview that was done just a couple days back. In an interview with Bleed Los podcast, Roberts hinted at where the two sides are in the contract negotiations. I think we're close, Roberts said. I pray everyone say your prayers that we get Dale done so we can come back in Dodger blue as well. This is, of course, a pretty big story. We've had, of course, some reports, David Vassay talking about how it was going to happen. And, of course, now we have the story with Dave Roberts talking about how, potentially this is, not a done deal yet, but he's confident that this can get done, right? He's confident that this can get done, that, the sides, it's just a big question mark. There just hasn't really been enough information on this story. Now, Dodgers Nation did give an interesting report recently. The latest report from Dodgers Nation said that Hernandez and the Dodgers are just not in agreement with the average annual value of his contract, the signing bonus, and, of course, the deferrals. And that, of course, is big news because, there might be another club out there that can meet Hernandez's demands, right? That's the big question. Will there be another club in Major League Baseball that's gonna match whatever offer that Teoscar Hernandez is giving? Now, how much of what Dave Roberts and David Vassay are saying is true, right? How much of it is actually true? Are they really close are they really close to negotiating a contract? Now, I personally think the Dodgers are going to re-sign Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, I'd be really surprised if it didn't happen. It would be definitely a big shock for me, at least. I think if they decide not to re-sign Teoscar Hernandez, it would be. I mean, the guy has been, one of the MVPs for the Dodgers. He was one of the MVPs all season long. It's hard to believe the season is over, right? The season did end about 6 weeks ago. The Dodgers were World Series champions. But here on Dodgers Digest, we keep the Dodger blue going all year long. So the season, of course, ended, and Teoscar Hernandez was, one of the premier players for the Dodgers, right? He was important throughout the regular season, like I talked about before. He was important when the team was definitely not playing their best. Teoscar Hernandez was right there to kind of carry the load for the Dodgers, right? I mean, that's basically what was going on with the Dodgers, who had they had their rough spots. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There was definitely moments for them where they faced adversity in this 2024 season. Basically everybody was hurt on this team. Even Teoscar Hernandez had some minor injuries, but he never had anything major, right? He was healthy for the most part this year. And then, of course, in the playoffs, he was important as well. Not as important, though, as I think in the playoffs. But it's a bit frustrating, at least as a Dodger fan. I'm sure many fans out there would agree with me that it is frustrating that the Dodgers just haven't gone out and given Teoscar Hernandez what he wants, right? I mean, I think that's what everybody, I see the comments below, everybody's kind of in agreement with that, you should just give whatever Teoscar Hernandez wants and get this deal done. Dave Roberts is not going to come out and publicly say what a fan would say, right? Because Dave Roberts is the manager of the Dodgers, right? He is currently the manager of the Dodgers. Even if he personally wants the Dodgers to go out and just give Teoscar Hernandez, whatever, a blank check so he signs with the team, it's basically out of Dave Roberts' hands, right? I mean, that's basically the situation. It's out of his hands what goes on with the Dodgers here. It's out of his hands when it comes to player personnel. Basically, his job as manager is to just put the pieces in place once he has the pieces for them to succeed and, succeed on the field, basically on a game-to-game basis, right? That's Dave Roberts' job. During the offseason, Dave Roberts doesn't have an important job. He has an important job, of course, all year long, but it's not as important as Andrew Freeman and Brandon Gomes. Those two guys have the most important jobs right now for the Dodgers as they're trying to put together a team that's going to repeat in 2025. I mean, those two guys have all the pressure in these next few months to put together a team that's going to compete and, repeat next year in the Major League Baseball season. I mean, that's their goal, to try to get the Dodgers to, be world champions again. There's no doubt about it. The Dodgers have been putting together a competitive team, and this, they're already competitive, but they're going to get even more competitive after what they did in this offseason, right? I mean, they are, they just signed Blake Snell, which is absolutely important for them. It's another starting pitcher, right? The Dodgers have had starting pitching issues, injuries, and then, of course, Walker Buehler, Jack Flaherty potentially not coming back. You got Blake Snell signed up, and potentially could even get Roki Sasaki as well on this team. So there's a lot of stuff happening, but the biggest question mark still remains. What's going to happen with Teoscar Hernandez? Comment below. What do you guys think? Do you think the Dodgers are going to go out and re-sign Teoscar Hernandez? Is this happening? I mean, personally, if I had to predict, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I don't have money to bet, but if I did have money to bet, I would put my money on the Dodgers re-signing Teoscar Hernandez. I just cannot believe the Dodgers are just going to let this guy go to potentially a division rival in the Giants, or even if he goes to the American League. I mean, those teams could potentially play the Dodgers in a World Series, or if he goes to a contender in the National League, the Atlanta Braves, which has been discussed before. Any of those teams, the Dodgers don't want to see Teoscar Hernandez playing for another team that's not the Dodgers, I would expect. Now, there might be some of you out there that are disagreeing with me and saying, nope, the Dodgers are going to move on from Teoscar Hernandez. They don't want to pay for him. They think he's a little too old. They don't think he's worth the money that he's asking. I mean, I disagree with you. I think the Dodgers are going to re-sign this guy. I know it's taken some time, but the Dodgers have time. I mean, there's no rush here. I mean, this could happen next year in January. What is the rush for the Dodgers to sign him now? I mean, that's a good question. Why rush this? The Dodgers can take their time, and Teoscar Hernandez can take his time too. He can look at other options, and at the end of the day, it's his decision which contract he signs, right? It's going to be his decision. Teoscar Hernandez's decision is the one that's going to decide it. And as Dave Roberts said, make sure you're praying up that he signs with the Dodgers. We want to see him wearing Dodger blue. As always, make sure to subscribe, and let's go Dodgers. Woo!